Good morning. This is Ron Brown. It's Saturday morning, September 7th, 2024. I'm going to talk this morning about the index changes or the uh, ETFs and so on that I'm using for market analysis and kind of show you how I'm getting around, and you can do the same thing. We lost access to a few of the NASDAQ indexes, most of which were not being used, but a few that were being used. It would have been very expensive to pay for that, which used to be included in the subscription to Barchart, the subscription between Barchart and HGSI, but there just wasn't enough interest in paying more money for the access to that. But I think I've got some pretty good workarounds here, and I'll explain that in this video. So this is called the indexes I'm using for market analysis, advancers versus decliners. All of that information is still available, and I'll show you that here in a minute. Remember, the market is your teacher, and it taught a lot of lessons this past week. Okay, as usual, any stock index or ETF mentioned in this presentation is not a recommendation to buy or sell. All trading strategies are used at your own risk. I'm going to bring up my newsletter. I want to point out that there is a new add-on link today. Some people have not renewed their subscriptions to the Insider Club, so I don't think they should have access to my latest files, so I'm updating my add-on. So when the Insider Club members get this notification that I'm sending out, make sure that you use this new link, or you're going to get older data. This is updated with the new files and so on. So just remember to use this. If you create a shortcut on your desktop, just do that. It's easy to do. Just create a new desktop, and you just right mouse click, select new, create shortcut, and then copy and paste that link into the shortcut. So you would just create the shortcut and go into the email I'm sending you, and it will have the link to the new add-on. Just highlight that and copy the hyperlink. Go back, do this first, then go back and paste it into the shortcut when you create the shortcut. I'm probably going to be changing these shortcuts monthly. Okay, let's get into it here, and I'll show you what I have here. I'm in my market analysis user groups, and I'm in folder number 1. Now, the folder above this, these are the indexes which I try to keep updated, or I do keep updated every week from Barchart. Now, to update them every week in HGSI, it takes a lot of work to do it. So what I've done is I just keep these updated myself, and you can use these indexes here weekly, and they'll be updated about monthly in HGSI. But if you want the most current information, use these indexes. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to come back to those in a minute, but I want to go into the major market indexes, which I'm now using. So I'll click through to the warehouse view, and I've replaced the SOX with the SOXX. And by the way, all these indexes are available in Thinkorswim, and also from the Barchart website. So we did lose access to the SOX, but it's been replaced with the SOXX. For the broader market, for the NASDAQ, I'm just either using the NASDAQ 100 or the total stock market ETF from Vanguard. So here's the QQQ. It's only 100 stocks, but these are the the primary stocks in the NASDAQ, and here is the total stock market over here, which works well also. And the good news is the internals, the advancing versus declining stock, that information is still in the package. So if you look down here, if I click down here, that shows me, if you go all the way to the left here down in the corner, it says 9/6 data. So that information is still available. So you can just look at the charts up here, but this is very important information down here, which is still included in the package. So here's both NASDAQ and NYSE internals. Advancing versus declining stocks, advancing versus declining volume, new highs, new lows. Information is still all in the package. I don't see losing those indexes that big a deal because the information is available in so many places, and you can see right here that it was a very rough week in the market. The information is lacking a few indexes, but it's not that big a deal. Now here's, if you want a good reading for the overall broad market, you can use the S&P 1500 rather than the NASDAQ, and you get a good feel for what's going on, and then all the internals are down here for the NASDAQ and the NYSE. And of course, if you just want the NYSE, it's still in here, and the composite is in here, so this represents the NYSE. So we have plenty of options. The NYSE, we have the Dow, of course, the S&P 500, which is really the primary market, the S&P 1500 composite, which is the 400, the 500, and the 600. Small, mid, and large cap stocks. Now, I'm going to go down here to these major market updates that I'm updating weekly, and I'm going to go into the S&P 1500. That index is created also, and what this allows us to do, if you want to actually go in and see the internals for this index, that's where you go over to my HGSI index charts, and here you can see accumulation, distribution, and all these other signals. The buy-sell indicators are all here, and these are indexes, as you well know, that are created by HGSI, but it really gives us insight into the internals. So going back to this, I'm resorting on symbol now. You can see what I've got in this folder, and this should give you a really good coverage about what's happening in the market. Another thing that I do is go to more info from the web. It's not available on this. That's an index chart. Let me bring up one of these other charts. Okay, more info from the web, and I go to Barchart. And I'm paying for the Premier. All this information, I believe, is available for nothing. You do get those annoying pop-up ads. They can be eliminated by paying, I think it's around $70 for 2 years. But I'm using the Barchart Premium, so I can keep all of those indexes updated that I talked about. Now, in the watch list, these are the primary indexes I'm looking at, and I just go to the main view, and it tells me what the indexes did yesterday, and also all of the sectors I put in here. You can add these indexes to Barchart. Like I said, it's available free if you don't mind putting up with the ads. Now, one nice thing about this, in addition to this information here, I can go to flip charts, and I'm using I'm going to use a multi-chart view here. You can look at 4 at a time, and then in templates, I build a template with a 3, 6, 18 moving averages because I think these really help keep you on the correct side of the market much of the time. Not always. Nothing works perfectly, but you can see nice job here. Now, there's 4 charts here at a time. If I click on the next 4, it brings up the next 4, as you can see, and you can quickly flip through multiple market charts and sectors. You can create your own templates. You can see I put Bollinger Bands in here. I don't have many templates because I don't use it that much. And here's just candles with volume. But you can see how quickly I can click back and forth to get different looks at 4 charts in a row. Or maybe I should say stacked. Now there's a lot more you can view in a bar chart. I'm not going to get into that today. I don't want to take the time to do it. I want to get back to HGSI, but this is another option to look at these indexes. And if let me just find the SOX here. You can see it was down 452 yesterday. Bring up the chart. Brings up a chart right here. And the template is still applied. You can see the 3-6 crossover here. And then I can quickly look at the Bollinger Bands, see if it's outside the band, and it is. So it's been a pretty massive move, as we all know, and it's stretched. So maybe we'll get a bounce next week. Maybe not. Anyway, I want to get back to HGSI. Now, I've been doing some testing, and I found that my continuation filters work very well. And I've been keeping track of a lot of groups here for a long time. Some of them just aren't that helpful anymore. I think I'm going to start weeding out some of these non-index files. I'm sorry. Yes, that's what I meant, non-index files. But I've been tracking all of these in here, and I want to know how many subscribers look at these groups. Because if you're not spending time looking at most of these on a historical basis, now a daily basis, these will remain in the user smart groups, but historic tracking of these, I keep 1 year's worth of data, and I want you to let me know if you're using any of these or not. If you're using them, I'll continue to track them and build a historical database. But if you're not, I'm not going to put the time in every morning. These are updated every morning. Just let me know. Send me an email, ron@highgrowthstock. Anyway, what I've found is that the continuation scans seem to work very well. Now I'm going to go into, let's go down here, and I'll just go into my CanSlim type stocks, all stocks. Now these are CanSlim type, not necessarily CanSlim, but they do have the earnings and revenue requirement of 20% increase quarter over quarter for this quarter and the prior quarter. So just looking at these, I'm going to bring up the ranking module. Let's put it up here. And let's just take a look at some of the leading stocks in this. We know about ASTS. If you've been following the market closely, this has been on a wild ride. I made some money on it. Could have made a lot more, but I took profits, but that's the way it goes. Sometimes I shouldn't be watching the market. I'd be a lot better off. But anyway, I want to go to a chart that I have put together. If you go down here to the daily analysis, black candle charts, and go down here, I put it in here right now. It's called context continuation visual filter back test, and I'm going to bring up some of these top stocks, and every time the conditions are met for continuation either up or down, lines are generated. I just put these up here to show where the occurrences happen. And you can see on AST every time the requirements were met, and I'll show you the requirements in a minute. On the positive side, a blue line is generated. On the negative side, a red line is generated. Now this, I know this makes a very distracting, kind of ugly chart, but it serves a purpose, and it only has to be used if you want to confirm when these signals were generated. So let's go into the warehouse view. Going to show you where you can find this. It's in my top-down process scans or my essential scans. And if you just go down to my daily prospecting scans, click on that, and go down to the continuation indicator. Here's an end of day and an intraday. Now you can see only one. I'm in major markets, maybe that's why. Okay, several now. So 270 passed the continuation filter yesterday on such a bad market day you wouldn't think any would. But these are the requirements. Percent volume. These are pocket pivot indicators rather than explaining it. If the pocket pivots happen either on a 5 or a 10 day, or there's a VPA flag that equals effort up, last close above $1, trading 100,000 shares, days since the 3 crosses 6, has to be positive. VPOC is positive, and the close is greater than the open. This is my continuation filter. So if those conditions are met, these stocks are going to show up as a continuation. So let's look at the first one, Freight Car America. Notice that these blue signals after these down signals started occurring back here, and that was on July 23rd. Then there were multiple days of this. Nothing here, but then that's because the 3 was below the 6 here. But here, I'll make this larger. Here, let's zoom in on this. Here, when the 3 crossed the 6 and there was an effort to rise and the pocket pivot indicators occurred, also the VPOC was positive, that's when I started getting these continuation. Now this one didn't work out, but it didn't fall very far, and this is an inexpensive stock. But look at all these opportunities to get in. Yes, when it gets extended, the chances are that it's going to reverse. There was a shakeout on this day, but look at this on Friday. There's continuation. I don't know what the news is on Freight Car America, but it is continuing to move up. And this area, in this area right here, if you look down the lower right corner, it says 356 is where that fired, and it's now up at 824. If I do an alternate A, bring this line here. Let's go from here to here. That is 130% increase over 18 periods. Point that out here. Right down here is where that information is. So, massive move. that started after the crossover, but the continuation based upon price and volume shows strong demand, and it kept going. Now I'm just doing this randomly. I'm just taking the top stock. Let's go to, I don't know what this one is, but we're going to look at it. Okay. Here's the first signal. It pulled back. It certainly didn't take out this low pivot though, and then there have been multiple signals here, and it continues to go up. Another inexpensive stock. Now you can limit this. Let's go down here and look at my major indexes that I keep. I only want S&P 1500 stocks. So let's go back to the warehouse and see what's at the top here. So American Tower, and remember I'm limiting this to S&P 1500 stocks. American Tower, you can see there was a little run here, and then it dipped the 3 below the 6 on heavier volume or pocket pivot volume, and then it started moving up. Then it reversed. We had some negative signals here, and then at base, and here we have another signal firing here. Now this is an expensive stock, but you can see that the continuation filters are working. Equity Lifestyle Properties. Now this is kind of choppy, but there are some signals here. Here's a good signal here. It made a nice run. It really didn't challenge this low pivot clear over here, and then here's some continuation. Now this, when I see a chart like this that has multiple lines going in opposite directions, I pretty much stay away from it. But there are signals here, so use your own judgment. Let's see what AT&T looks like. Okay. Signal here. That was a failure. Here's a down signal that really didn't follow through. Here we had a buy, and then continuation, 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 and it keeps going. So it's moved up, it looks like a little over $1 from that point, but you can see that the signals are being generated. I'm going to do one more here. Let's see what United Airlines looks like. Okay, you can see these are good signals to the downside. Then it bottomed. Here's a buy. Didn't challenge this pivot low. This pivot low, it kind of got down in there, but then now we're getting more confirmation. Notice the 3 crossed the 6 here, but there was no pocket pivot volume, so it didn't fire. Now I want to do one more thing here. I'm going to stick with the S&P 1500, but I want to make sure these are CanSlim stocks. So I'm going down to this earnings momentum folder, and I'm going to stick with CanSlim stocks, 20% of revenue and EPS, and I'll just go down here. I don't necessarily need a fan up. And let's see how many stocks there are. There are 45 of them. If I were to use the fan up, that cuts it down to nothing because the market has been hammered this week. So I'm in the S&P 1500, and I'm looking for CanSlim type stocks that are passing the CanSlim filter. So now I have to make a subgroup of this. So I'm going to do an alternate G. I'll just call it CanSlim, even though all the requirements are not necessarily there. So I'm making a subgroup of the S&P 1500. And I don't need an index. And now I'm going to go back up to my daily prospecting scans, and I'm going to see if anything follows through on continuation. There was only one that followed through yesterday. In the S&P 1500, that is also a CanSlim stock. So let's take a look at it. And here it is. Not familiar with the stock, but it's kind of a beauty, isn't it? Had this nice move here when all the requirements were met. And let's go through the requirements. I'll bring up my arrow here. Here's the blue bar. It's crossed over, so it's above the 3 and the 6. Here's your pocket pivot views. The 3 crossed the 6 here on this day, and then the VPOC was positive. This was a force index, which I've thrown in there. You can see that it was outperforming its industry group here because the green line's going up as the industry group was going down, and it made a nice move. Now here, this broke down. The 3 down was down below the 6. The pocket pivot volume was negative. You can see that that generated this, and it was a one-day pullback is the way it turned out. But it chopped around until it got to this point, and then the 3 had crossed the 6 back here. The VPOC was positive, and then in addition to that, there were really no tests of this low pivot right below that. And here we had a big move up, and while the market's going down, this stock is going up. Now, I think this scan has a lot of value because it takes into account both price and volume, and when there is a effort up, even when the pocket pivot requirements aren't met, we get a signal on that also. I don't see any of that in here, but you can see that it worked very well here. Yes, it was down, but that was reversed right here, and it pulled back a little bit and took off. So I realized that I really limited this on the CanSlim. Let's go back up to the S&P 1500 and see what else is available. Here's Abbott Lab. Look at all these signals here. Takes a little while for this to calculate because of the VFB. Okay, look at this good signal here on Agree Realty Corporation, several. A pullback here, which turned out to be a false signal. This was in a really tight area, and then it reversed, and it started getting the continuation signals. One more. Did I look at American? I can't remember. All these down signals, which were good, and then here's an up signal, but that was a failure. This down signal didn't follow through, but then we started getting some follow through to the upside. I looked at some of these. Oh, let's look at ConAgra. Okay, you can see there are plenty of opportunities on follow through. Just because we miss a crossover signal, it doesn't mean that it's there aren't opportunities, because the crossover on this happened clear back here, and then strong volume, which generated a pocket pivot flag. Sorry about that. Generated here, and then it really didn't challenge it. So a lot of these stocks are good candidates for debit or credit spreads because you don't have to worry about the day-to-day fluctuations. And if you put on a longer term one, 30 days or longer, a lot of times it'll turn profitable. So yes, I put the mean reversion scans in last week, and that's for that type of trading. But don't forget about continuation, because a lot of times when stocks are on the move, they will continue to go. And if you wait for main reversion all the time, it may not happen, or there just may not be that many candidates. That's it for this week. Remember that there is a new add-on for Insider Club members. And I want to know which of those groups that I'm creating that you're looking at. And if you're not looking at them or using them, I may start eliminating some. Now, I have been tracking Woodward and Brown and Gil Morales for a long time. I don't look at the Morales scans or his scans that I created for him. I don't look at the results of those anymore. I just don't. So if any of you do, let me know. I'll keep doing them. If you're not using them, I'll just get rid of them. Under Smart Groups, I do track the Woodward and Brown and the Morales. But if you're not using Morales or Woodward and Brown, I may quit tracking them. Just let me know which you're using, or if you're not using any of them, that's fine. Send me an email. Thanks for listening and have a good week.